Good morning Year 6 and welcome to Friday's maths video. So, yesterday's problems. So we had to find the missing number. We knew that the trainers originally costed £60 and then once they'd been reduced they were £45. Now, the simplest way of working this out is to find the difference between 60 and 45 and that is £15. They'd gone down by £15. That's not the answer because it's not a percentage, but it can help us. Because if we think about 60, if we half 60, we get 30, and if we half 30, we get 15. Now that tells us that £15 is a quarter of 60. And if we remember that a quarter is the same as 25%, we found our answer. So very well done if you got that right. Number 2. Now this one looked really tricky, but it's not actually as hard as it may have first seemed. So we've got a really good piece of information here. We've got that 20% of Megan's number is 64. Now that tells us that 10% of Megan's number is 32, because half of 20% is 10% and half of 64 is 32. Now we know that 10% of her number is 32. In order to go from 10% to 100, we times by 10. So if we have our 32 and we times by 10, we know that Megan's original number was 320. Now that helps us with this, because we need to know what 50% of her number is. Well, if we know that from 10% was 32, that 100% is 320, if we half that for 50%, we get 160, because half of 320 is 160. Now I appreciate there were a lot of steps there, so very well done if you got either of those correct. So, today's Fluent in 5. Now these are word problems. I'm going to go through a couple of things with you, first of all, so that they don't throw you and scare you, and then you're going to pause the video and have a go by yourself. So, a coat costing £75 is now reduced by 50%. How much is the coat? So the coat was £75. It was reduced by 50%. The first thing to do is work out what 50% is. So 50% of 75 is 37.5. Now this is money, so it's really important we turn it into £37.50. When you reduce something, you've made it smaller, you've taken away. So what we'd need to do is we'd need to take £37.50 from our original number. Now actually, because it's 50%, we've actually already found the answer. But if it was 40% or something, we would need to take it away. But 50% of 75 is £37.50. So if it's been reduced by 50%, the leftover amount is £37.50. If it says increased by, you have to add. So if your item increased by 20%, you'd have to find what 20% was and add it. Pause the video and have a go. So, we worked out from number 1 that 50% of 75 was £37.50, so if they've been reduced by 50%, the new price is £37.50. Now, this time it's increased, you have to increase £34 by 25%. So you need to find what 25% of 34 is, and then add that, because it's increased, and that gives you the answer of £42.50. Then you have to decrease 147 by 15%. So work out what 15% of 147 is and then take it away to give you 124.95. Then there are 75% fewer children in a school of 600. How many children are in the school? So work out what 75% of 600 is and then take that away from 600, leaving you with 150 children. Finally, question 5. A pair of trainers costs £69 and a top costs £15. How much do both items cost after 25% discount? Few steps on this one. First step, add the cost of your trainers and your top together to give you the overall spend. Then find out 25% of that amount because it asks you for how much do both items cost. Then when you have found 25% of the cost of both items, take that away because they were discounted, it went down, and the price should be £63. Very well done if you got those right. So, today's challenge. Remember, again, it's tiny, but you can view it online as the PDFs have been uploaded. So, this chart shows the amount of money spent in a toy shop in 3 months. So you have the amount of money along the bottom and the months across to the side. So October, November, December. How much more money was spent in the shop in December than November? So you need to compare December and November. Then down the bottom it says, in November there was a 100% increase on the money spent in October. Is that correct? Yes or no? True or false? So think about how you'd work that one out and have a go. So the answer to the first one, number 1, how much more money was spent in the shop in November and December than November, sorry. The answer to that is £17,500. What you needed to do is you needed to find December's amount and take November's away to find the difference. Then in November there was an 100% increase on the money spent in October. Now you need an explanation that recognises that November sales were doubled. So October's amount brings you up to here, and it has doubled. Can you see, even just by looking at the bar, that October has been doubled to find November? Even if you just cheat and look that you've got 3 bars there and then you've got 6 bars there. Now if something increases by 100%, it is doubling itself. And actually October has been doubled for November. So if you realise that and you circle Jess, very, very well done. See you next week.